My name is Arwen Vale, and I learned a long time ago that in my family, love was never shared equally. My mother, Clarissa, always had one favorite, my older sister, Sienna. From childhood, I was the shadow beside her spotlight, the one who clapped the loudest yet was never seen. So when Sienna announced she was getting married, I thought maybe, finally, I'd get to be part of something special. I called her, sent congratulatory gifts, even offered to design her wedding invitations. She thanked me once, and then stopped replying altogether. Still, I waited. I kept telling myself, she's just busy. It's her wedding after all. Then one sunny afternoon, I called Mom. I was smiling, excited. I can't wait for Sienna's wedding tomorrow. I finally found the perfect dress. The silence on the other end was heavy, suffocating. Then came her voice, calm but cold. "Oh, Arwen," she said, "the wedding was last weekend." For a second my world tilted. What? It was a small ceremony. She continued quickly. Sienna didn't want a crowd. It was intimate. I felt my stomach twist. "I'm her sister. I know, darling." Mom sighed, her tone more annoyed than apologetic. "But you always make things complicated." It was better this way. Better this way. Those 3 words cut deeper than any knife could. That night, I went online. My breath caught when I saw it. Hundreds of photos of Sienna's wedding. A lavish vineyard in Italy. Golden sunlight. A dance floor under fairy lights. Clarissa, my mother, smiling beside her daughter in matching champagne dresses. And not a single message, call, or text to me. I wasn't forgotten. I was deliberately erased. I sat in the dark, scrolling through their laughter, my chest burning with humiliation and something sharper. Resolve. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. They wanted to build their perfect story without me. Fine. But soon, they'd realize, they shouldn't have cut me out of their picture. Because I was about to rewrite it entirely. And this time, I'd be the one holding the camera. For the next few days, I lived in silence. My phone buzzed with posts from friends congratulating Sienna Vale on her magical Tuscan wedding. And each notification felt like a slap. No one realized I hadn't been there. Because in every caption, I didn't exist. But I wasn't going to explode right away. I wanted answers. And when I got them, I'd make sure they burned. I started small. Late one night, I opened my laptop and searched for the wedding planner Sienna had tagged in one of her photos. Isabella Serrano. Events by Serrano. I pretended to be a future bride, asking for a quote. When Isabella emailed me back, her polite message included something unexpected: an attached PDF titled, "Vale Wedding Guest List and Seating Chart." My heart pounded as I opened it. There it was, row after row of names. My mother. My father. Distant cousins I hadn't seen in years. Even Mom's bridge club friends. But not me. Until I saw the note scribbled at the bottom. "Remove Arwen Vale bride's request. Family issue. Do not contact." For a moment, I just stared at it. Family issue. That's what I was to them, an issue to be deleted. The next morning, I called my father, Mark Vale. "Dad," I said softly, "why didn't anyone tell me about Sienna's wedding?" He hesitated. "Ani, you know how your sister can be. She didn't want drama." "Drama," I repeated. "What drama? I didn't even know there was a fight." He sighed, his voice lowering. "Your mom thought it would be easier if you sat this one out. You always overreact." There it was again. Blame wrapped in guilt. It was the same tone they used when I cried as a child after Sienna got everything I wanted. The same tone when they told me to be mature, while she got the praise. I hung up before my voice could shake. That night, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to confront them with tears or pleas. I'd spent my life trying to earn their approval, and all it ever did was feed their power over me. But this wedding, had exposed who they really were: a family built on appearances, on lies, on pretending perfection. And I knew exactly how to destroy that illusion. I started a plan. Not a quick one, but a beautifully slow one. The kind that would unravel them from the inside out. Sienna wanted to be the center of the world. Then I'd show her what it felt like when the spotlight turned cold. She wanted to trend online for her perfect life. Then I'd make sure the truth went viral. But first, I needed to gather everything they'd tried to hide. The cracks beneath their polished smiles. The secrets that even wedding champagne couldn't wash away. And soon, I found the first one. Buried deep in a tagged photo of the rehearsal dinner, behind a filter and a crowd of laughing guests, was a man I recognized. Because he wasn't Sienna's groom. He was mine. The man in the photo was unmistakable, Elias Grant. The same man who once told me I was his forever. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The background blurred as I zoomed in on his face. His arm draped protectively around Sienna's waist. My sister's diamond ring shimmered on the same hand that used to hold mine. The betrayal hit like an earthquake. My sister hadn't just excluded me from her wedding. She'd married the man I once loved. I slammed my laptop shut, trembling. Every memory, every kiss, every promise Elias had made came rushing back, poisoned by the truth. He had met Sienna once at a family dinner years ago, just before he moved to Boston for work. I had no idea they'd stayed in touch. Now, it all made sense. The last-minute business trips, the unanswered calls, the hollow apologies, and Mom, she had known. Of course she had, because Sienna could do no wrong. Because her happiness mattered more than my heart. I felt my anger crystallize into something sharp, something controlled. That night, I created a new folder on my computer. Project White Lace. It wasn't about rage anymore. It was about justice. Over the next few weeks, I became invisible, watching, gathering, and documenting. Every post from Sienna's dream life was another thread I could pull. Her influencer career was booming. All about family values and authenticity. She didn't know that her entire brand rested on the lies she told. Through a friend who worked in PR, I discovered that Sienna's brand sponsorships required a clean reputation. No scandals, no public fights. So I waited. And when the moment came, I would make sure the world saw who she truly was. But karma, as it turns out, didn't need much help. One evening, I received a message request on Instagram. The profile picture was of a woman I didn't recognize, but the message stopped me cold. Hi. You don't know me, but I think my fiancé might be involved with your brother-in-law Elias. Her name was Mara Kent. And she sent screenshots, messages, receipts. Elias hadn't changed. He wasn't just unfaithful to me or Sienna. He was cheating on her too. The universe had handed me a weapon. I sat there staring at the evidence, my reflection flickering on the screen. 1,000 ways to use it raced through my mind: email leaks, social media exposure, anonymous tips. But I didn't want chaos, I wanted poetry. I wanted them to feel the kind of slow, suffocating collapse they'd once left me with. So I wrote back, Mara, would you like to work together? And that night, the plan began to take shape. 2 women, both wronged, bound by betrayal, ready to deliver justice with precision. But before we could strike, I needed one more thing. Proof that my family knew. Proof that Mom had helped hide it all. That's when I decided to pay a visit. Not to confront her, but to listen. I drove to my childhood home on a quiet Sunday morning. Mom was pruning her roses when I walked up the path. Her smile faltered the moment she saw me. Arwen, she said flatly, you should have called. I just wanted to drop something off, I replied, forcing a smile. We made small talk. I complimented her garden. She offered tea. But as she turned away, I slipped my phone onto the counter, the voice recorder running. And in that half hour, I got everything I needed. Because my mother, in her arrogance, couldn't resist bragging. About the wedding, about Sienna's perfect match, and most of all, about how she'd made sure I stayed out of the picture. When she said, Arwen would have ruined the moment if she saw who the groom was. I knew I had her. She wasn't just complicit. She was the architect. The recording played softly through my headphones that night, every word from my mother's lips slicing deeper than the last. Her voice was casual, almost proud. I told Sienna not to invite Arwen. She would have made things awkward with Elias there. You know how emotional she gets. Each syllable was a confirmation of betrayal. Not just from my sister, but from the woman who'd given me life. I leaned back in my chair, letting the anger settle into something colder, sharper. Revenge wasn't just a desire anymore. It was destiny. I transferred the audio file into my hidden drive, labeling it simply, Garden Confession. MP3. Over the next few days, Mara and I spoke constantly. Despite the miles between us, our connection was immediate. Two women who'd seen the same kind of deception. Two hearts that knew what it felt like to be discarded. She sent me every message Elias had sent her. Sweet nothings, empty promises, even plans for a secret trip to Lisbon. The same week as his honeymoon. Can you believe he's still lying to her? She asked during one late-night call. Yes, I said softly. Because lies are the only language he speaks. We didn't want chaos, we wanted control. So, we built a plan with precision. Each move planned like a chess match. Step 1: expose the truth. Step 2: make sure it hit the world where it hurt the most publicly. Sienna's influencer page became our battleground. Her latest post, captioned, "Grateful for my perfect husband and our fairy tale life," had just crossed 100,000 likes. Perfect. Using a fake account, Mara dropped a series of screenshots in the comments. Elias's messages, timestamps, and selfies he'd sent while on honeymoon. The comments section exploded. Within minutes, Sienna's followers turned from admiration to outrage. Is this real? Wait. He was cheating during the wedding. Girl, check your DMs, it's worse than you think. Then Mara tagged one more account, mine. The effect was instant. Sienna's world cracked open before thousands of watching eyes. At first, she tried to deny it. Her PR manager issued a statement calling it fabricated drama by envious individuals. But the internet is merciless. Within hours, new evidence surfaced. Elias's Venmo payments to Mara, photos from their weekend getaway, even voice messages of him whispering her name. By morning, every major gossip outlet had picked up the story. Influencer's fairy tale marriage exposed as lie. Sienna Marlowe's perfect life shattered by cheating scandal. Her sponsors began pulling out one by one. The collapse was beautifully slow, and every headline felt like a heartbeat of justice. But I wasn't done, because Sienna and Mom still thought I was a bystander. They didn't know I was the storm behind the silence. That evening, my phone buzzed with a call. Mom. I let it ring twice before answering. Arwen. She hissed. Voice trembling. What did you do? I smiled into the receiver. Funny, I said. I was about to ask you the same thing 4 months ago, when you helped Sienna marry the man I loved. This isn't the time for it's exactly the time. I cut in. You both took everything from me. My relationship, my dignity, even my invitation to my own sister's wedding. Now the world knows what kind of people you really are. Arwen, she pleaded, think about the family. The family. I laughed bitterly. You only think of family when it benefits you. Her silence was long and heavy. Then, quietly. You'll regret this. No, I whispered. For the first time, I think I won't. When the call ended, I sat in the quiet glow of my apartment, watching the chaos unfold online. Sienna had gone offline. Elias's account was deactivated. Mom's social circle was buzzing with whispers. I had done what they thought I never could. I took control. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. There was still one more truth to uncover. Something that had been buried beneath all their lies. A secret even I wasn't prepared to face. Because as the night stretched on, a message pinged into my inbox from an unknown address. Subject: You don't know everything, Arwen. Body: Your sister wasn't the only one keeping secrets. Meet me tomorrow. Bring the recording. And that was how the final act of my revenge truly began. The email burned in my mind all night. You don't know everything, Arwen. I read it again and again, memorizing every word, every punctuation mark. There was no name, no signature, just a location. Rosewood Cemetery. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. It felt like the setup to a bad thriller. But something deep in my chest, the same instinct that had guided me through every betrayal, whispered that I needed to go. The next day, gray clouds gathered over the city like a warning. I arrived early, parking beneath a cluster of oaks that swayed in the wind. My fingers clenched around the small recorder in my pocket. the one containing my mother's confession. A figure emerged from behind a row of weathered gravestones. A woman, maybe in her early 50s, with auburn hair pulled back into a tight bun, and a leather folder clutched in her hands. Her expression was cautious, almost haunted. "Arwen?" she asked. "Yes." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. "I'm Nora. I used to work for your father." That name, my father's, sent a familiar pang through me. He'd left when I was 12. Mom always said he abandoned us, that he was selfish and irresponsible. Nora continued, voice trembling slightly. "He didn't leave by choice. He tried to protect you. But when he found out what your mother was doing with the family finances..." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She handed me a manila envelope, its edges creased with age. Inside were bank statements, wire transfers, and signed affidavits, all connecting my mother to fraudulent withdrawals from my father's accounts. "She drained him," Nora whispered. "Left him with nothing. Then told you he'd run away. When he tried to fight back, she threatened to report him for financial abuse." My knees weakened. The cemetery spun for a moment. All this time the woman who preached about loyalty, who called me ungrateful and cold, she had destroyed her husband's life just to keep control. Nora placed a trembling hand on my arm. "Your father died 2 years ago. Liver failure. He asked me to give you this when you were ready to know the truth." At the bottom of the envelope was a sealed letter, my name scrawled across it in a handwriting I hadn't seen in 15 years. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the envelope on my kitchen table. I finally opened it. "My Arwen, if you're reading this, it means you've seen the truth for yourself. I wanted to fight for you, but your mother made sure I couldn't. I saw the same fire in you that she once had. But where hers turned to greed, yours turned to love. Don't lose that. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destruction, but in freedom. Build the life she told you didn't deserve. That will be your victory. Love, Dad." Tears blurred the ink until it smudged into soft shadows. But as the words sank in, a new resolve took shape. I wasn't done yet. But my revenge would no longer be about pain. It would be about exposure. About truth. About justice. I spent the next week compiling everything. The audio recording, financial documents, and Nora's testimony. Every lie my mother had told became evidence. Every manipulation turned into a weapon. Sienna tried reaching out twice. Desperate, hollow messages. "Please, Arwen. The press won't stop. I can't handle this. Mom's losing her mind. Just stop. Please." But I didn't respond. Instead, I uploaded a video, not to shame, not to gloat, but to reveal. In it I spoke calmly, the way my father might have wanted. "This isn't revenge. This is truth. My mother taught me that family meant obedience. That silence kept peace. But silence also protected liars. My father wasn't a failure. He was a victim. And I refused to let his story be erased. I attached the files and scheduled it to go live at midnight. By dawn, the internet was in flames. News outlets picked it up instantly. Viral family scandal, daughter exposes years of lies and financial fraud. Influencer sister's cheating husband and mother's secret past revealed. Sienna's brand was already crumbling, but this shattered it beyond repair. Mom's name began trending within hours, with users dissecting every line of her lies, every manipulation she'd built her empire on. Her charities dropped her. Her social clubs disowned her. Even her closest friends turned on her. But I didn't feel satisfaction. Not yet. Because I still hadn't faced her, and I knew she'd come. She always did when control slipped through her fingers. That evening, as rain streaked down my window, a sharp knock echoed through my apartment. I didn't need to look to know who it was. I opened the door. There she stood, drenched, wild-eyed, mascara streaking down her face. "How could you do this to me?" she hissed. "I didn't," I said quietly. "You did this to yourself." She laughed, bitter, broken. "You think you've won? You ruined your family!" "No," I replied. "You ruined your family the day you decided power mattered more than love." She took a step forward, her voice cracking. "I did everything for you." I shook my head. "No, you did everything to me. For the first time, I saw something flicker behind her eyes. Not anger, not denial, but fear. She turned and left without another word, her heels clicking against the hallway like the final notes of a song that had gone on too long. That night, as thunder rolled over the city, I sat by my window, clutching my father's letter. The storm outside mirrored the one that had raged in me for years. But now, there was calm beneath it. Quiet, powerful, like the eye of a hurricane finally passing. I didn't just reclaim my voice. I reclaimed my story. And soon, the world would see what true justice looked like. Not in vengeance, but in peace. The morning after the storm, sunlight broke through the clouds. Pale, golden, fragile, like a new beginning cautiously peeking over the wreckage of everything that had fallen. For the first time in years, my apartment felt still. No buzzing phone, no frantic calls from lawyers or journalists, no hollow apologies from the people who once dictated my life. Just silence. And somehow, that silence was beautiful. The video had done more than go viral. It had started conversations about emotional abuse, manipulation, and how truth always finds its way out, even when buried under years of lies. People flooded my inbox. Strangers who said my story gave them courage to confront their own families. Their own, perfect, fuckheads. And as I read their messages, I realized something: my revenge wasn't destruction. It was liberation. A week later, I received an official letter. It was from my mother's lawyer. Mrs. Isolde Kearse has voluntarily stepped down from all public positions and financial trusts. She wishes no further contact. Voluntarily. The word made me laugh. She had no choice. The truth had stripped her of the mask she wore so perfectly for decades. Sienna, my sister, had gone completely offline. A mutual friend told me she'd moved out of the city. Maybe she was trying to rebuild. Maybe she finally understood the cost of pretending. I didn't hate her anymore, I pitied her. We were both victims of the same empire, she just never escaped its rules. That evening, I went back to Rosewood Cemetery. The air smelled of rain, soaked grass and lilacs, the kind my father used to plant by our old porch. I knelt before his grave. No flowers. No grand gesture, just me and the letter I'd written back. Dear Dad, you were right. Freedom isn't loud. It doesn't roar or demand to be seen. It's quiet. It lives in truth, in peace, in the ability to breathe without fear. I used to think revenge meant winning. Now I know it means ending. Ending the cycle, the pain, the silence. I'm free, Dad. And I hope wherever you are, you're free too. Arwen. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of lilacs across the graveyard. For a moment, I almost felt him there. Not in the way grief imagines, but in a way that soothed. As weeks passed, life found rhythm again. I started working with a small production company that reached out after my story broke. They wanted to create a documentary about generational manipulation, about breaking free from toxic families. But I didn't agree immediately. I needed time to live outside of my pain, to exist without it defining me. I spent my mornings in coffee shops, my nights watching the city lights reflect on the river. I talked to strangers, smiled at people in elevators. Tiny things I once thought meaningless, but now felt like small victories. One day, as I packed up my laptop, a voice behind me said, "Your story changed my life." I turned around. He was tall, mid-30s, with kind eyes and the sort of calm presence that felt rare in this world. "I'm Elias," he said softly. "My mom was like yours. Different story, same kind of pain. I just wanted to thank you." We talked for hours. Not about trauma, not about revenge, but about healing, about the strange beauty of starting over. For the first time in years, I laughed, really laughed, and as I watched him smile, I realized, maybe healing wasn't something that happened after revenge. Maybe healing was the revenge. Months passed. My documentary premiered under a new title. The Sound of Freedom. It wasn't about villains or victims. It was about truth, courage, and the power of breaking silence. My mother never appeared in public again. Sienna sent a single message the day it aired. "You were right. We both deserved better." "I'm trying to find my better now." I didn't reply. But I smiled. Maybe that was enough. That night I stood on my balcony. the city lights glittering beneath me like 1,000 second chances. The air was cool, the world quiet. I closed my eyes and whispered, "I forgive you, Mom." Not because she deserved it, but because I did. Forgiveness wasn't surrender. It was the final act of freedom. And as I looked up at the sky, endless, open, alive, I realized the story that began with lies, betrayal, and heartbreak had ended in something far greater. Peace. Not the kind written about in fairy tales, but the kind you earn, after surviving the fire and choosing to rise from its ashes.